The vanishing passenger. It started with an innocent mistake, or at least that's what he thought. A man was driving down a lonely highway late at night, the road stretching endlessly into the darkness. His headlights illuminated a woman standing by the roadside, shivering in the cold, her face hidden by long, dark hair. She looked lost, scared, and vulnerable. Against his better judgment, he pulled over. "Need a ride?" he asked hesitantly. The woman nodded, her voice soft and trembling. "Thank you. I just need to get home." She climbed into the back seat without saying much else, clutching her bag tightly. Her pale face barely turned toward him, but her presence filled the car with an uneasy stillness. As he drove, she gave him directions to a small village he'd never heard of. The GPS didn't recognize the name, and the roads became narrower and darker with every turn. When he glanced in the rearview mirror, he noticed she wasn't sitting still. She kept glancing behind her, as though expecting someone, or something, to be following them. "Are you okay?" he finally asked, his voice breaking the heavy silence. I think someone's after me," she whispered, her hands trembling. He felt a surge of protectiveness. "Don't worry. You're safe with me." But the road stretched endlessly, and the air in the car grew colder. At one point, he tried to lighten the mood. "You know, I feel like I've been driving for hours. Are you sure this is the right way?" She turned her head slightly, and for the first time, he caught a glimpse of her face in the rearview mirror. Her eyes were hollow, her lips cracked, and her skin looked like it hadn't felt sunlight in years. "You can't leave now," she said softly, her voice echoing strangely. His stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" Her voice turned sharper, her tone almost pleading. "Please, just keep driving. Don't stop." The car sputtered suddenly, the engine struggling. The lights flickered as if the car itself was terrified. He pulled to the side of the road, the vehicle refusing to go any further. "I'll check the engine," he said nervously, stepping out into the freezing night. When he looked back at the car, the back seat was empty. The woman was gone. Panic set in. He called out for her, searching the woods by the roadside. The cold seemed to press in tighter, and the faint sound of a woman crying reached his ears. "Where are you?" he shouted, spinning in circles. "I never left," her voice whispered from everywhere and nowhere at once. He turned back to the car, and there she was, sitting in the driver's seat now, staring at him through the windshield. But her face was no longer human. Her eyes were black pits, her mouth stretched unnaturally wide. "You should have kept driving," she hissed. The car's headlights flared, blinding him. When he blinked, she was gone again, but so was the car. He stood alone on the empty road, the bag she'd been clutching now sitting at his feet. Curiosity got the better of him. He opened it and froze. Inside were tattered clothes, a faded photo of the woman, and a newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Woman found dead after kidnapping gone wrong. Body never recovered." The man's breath caught in his throat as the cold intensified. He turned to run, but the shadows stretched unnaturally around him, trapping him in their grip. The last thing he heard was her voice, whispering in his ear, "You wanted to save me. But now, I'll take you with me." Sometimes, the ones we help aren't the ones who need saving.